get around and have children by women randomly and walk away from them and care less. It's like it's becoming a new thing. It's something that we celebrate these people. We celebrate our pastors who've been involved with rape. We still go to their churches. We still honor them. You're not doing it to anybody. You're destroying the future of our country. We cannot even figure out how to make our children in the diaspora dream. And then you guys want to sit here and talk about you can change like Liberia. You want to waste my time talking about you waste my time behind a political party? I shall not waste my time behind any political party, because where are the leadership institute for young children in the Republic of Liberia? By political parties. Where are the small training programs for young people when it comes to being the next best speaker? Where are the training programs for young people when it comes to being the next best orator? Where are the small training programs for young people when it comes to being the next best debaters? If young people want to flock to politics, then I urge you today, use politics to empower them. Use politics to empower them. Right? While you're waiting to become president, start to demonstrate your leadership. Right on your political party headquarters, where young people gather all day, 7 days a week. If you were just giving them 1 hour of some value, of some self-esteem, of some self-confidence that they are not just good enough to be militants, maybe we would have been changing the narrative. Maybe they would have been questioning some of your decisions when you take advantage of them and abuse them. But no, you've all connived to keep them at a place of absolute ignorance, so you can continue to manipulate them and use them for your short-term gain. Because some of you know that you got less than 25 years to be of any value to society anymore. So as a result, you won't care about what you can get. So you rile them up. You use poverty to destroy them. You use cash violence by giving them $5 or $10. You abuse them without them realizing what you're doing to them. And then you turn around, you call them militants, and tomorrow you tell us that the young people of Liberia are unserious. Let me bring it up a little bit. Since we've neglected our children, I'm talking about the young ones from age 2, age 1. That is where it starts. No politician, no pastor, no bishop, no community chairman, no prophet or prophetess can lie to me and tell me God showed them a vision for a better Liberia, unless you can tell me how the children of our nation feature in that vision. It is a lie. Anybody who tells you they have a way of building a future for Liberia, for proper, genuine, long-term nation building, without telling me what you can do with the future of the children of Liberia, you are a false prophet. You are a liar. You are a hypocrite. Let's call a spade a spade. Where we should focus our attention, we've driven it from there and following a bunch of people with low self-esteem who think the only way they can be important is when we take them and put them in a place of corruption, is when we worship them for being wicked. We took away 3 generations already since the war. What's wrong with doing things for our children with some quality to it? All of you in the diaspora, you got UP, USA, Unity Party, USA, CDC, all these USA things. Y'all please help me understand. Where is your skin in the game when it comes to the only chance for nation building for Liberia, and it is investment in the future of our children? Where is your skin in the game? Where is the consistency? Where is the consistency? The consistency that we've only promised is to rob our children of their innocence, and not just rob them of their innocence. We go all of our way to make them settle for the least. That is the reason why we keep disabusing them of understanding who they really are. Look, let me tell you something today. When we look at the Liberian dream, the first step of understanding the Liberian dream is owning our story. We are Liberians. There's a reason why we did not choose to be born in our country. There's a reason why God placed us there. We are Liberians. Yes, we are the oldest independent republic. Yes, we had a one-party political system for a long time that abused our people and marginalized them. Yes, in spite of that abuse and marginalization, we managed to keep a nation together in peace for a long time. Yes, we had a military coup. And the stupidity of our understanding at the time led us to executing a lot of our own citizens because of a claim that they were corrupt without putting them through a fair trial process. Yes, we fought war for close to 2 decades off and on, destroying our own country, killing our own people, mass slaughtering our own people. Yes, we took warlords who were the greatest perpetrators of atrocities and put them on a pedestal and made them lords over us. Yes, that is our story. But you know what? In spite of it all, in spite of the corruption, in spite of the poverty, in spite of everything, through it all, we've remained resilient as a people. We found a way to make it happen. That is our true story. Stop pretending like you are the Ghanaians. You're not. Stop making our children to believe that they need to try and be somebody else before they can be something. No. Let us invest in them. Let us use what we've got, my people. And the first thing we've got is our story. And the next thing we've got individually are the things that we control. Look, let me tell you something today. If every Liberian leader, whether religious, political, whatever, were just doing their part, right? I know everybody like to say, oh, where's the government place? Yes, the government has a place, but I'm not here to waste my time on the government place, because if you tell me the government is the problem, as an entrepreneur, we should be brainstorming then where can we find a solution since the government is the problem. No, we don't. We all got big mouth. We are so wicked that we're not even admit that we've lived our entire lives hoping for a day of some form of corruption in Liberia that will work in our favor. How is it rocket science when you can buy a $90,000 vehicle for each member of the legislature? You know what will happen if you just invested $90,000 in each school in the Republic of Liberia? $90,000 if you just invested in each school. We've become so wicked and so bad to ourselves that we build makeshift structures, intentionally lie and tell our children it's a school we are teaching them there. We've become so wicked that whenever we sit down to discuss an agenda for how we develop our communities and how we invest, we do not include our children. We've become so bad that the thing where the actual custodian of our culture, right, the actual thing that has helped us together, the only reason most families in the rural parts of our country are still surviving, the poor and descendant societies and other traditional societies, we've gotten together and said we should condemn it because it's bad and it's wicked. Let me tell you today, most of the children living in the rural areas, their only hope, their only chance to participate in the Liberian Dream may be through the poor society, may be through the descendant society. You neglect them, you abuse them, you destroy them, and then you come back to tell them, say, who they are, their culture is bad, they should abandon it. For what? What have you offered them? What have you offered them? You've offered nothing, but you're telling them that what they know and who they are is bad. Let me tell you something today. Nobody wants to talk about it until we invest in the poorer and sender societies, because historically from 1847 to now, those are the only institutions that have served majority of Liberians. I challenge anybody to argue that. I challenge anybody to show me otherwise. Because we went and borrowed this education system that we borrowed from the West, brought it to Liberia, teaching our children things that only make sense in Western cultures, teaching our children things that nobody can understand in the context of Liberia. You know why when Liberians travel to the West, they tend to do better sometimes? It's because everything we taught them makes no sense to Liberia. It makes sense everywhere else. It's the same thing running away from ourselves. When will we start to accept that our writers, regardless of how poor their writing is now, we need to encourage them, we need to celebrate them so that they can get better? When will we start to actually do that? We all want to read Shakespeare. Don't get me wrong, read Shakespeare. It's a masterpiece. Educate yourself all you want. But what about yours? You're not Shakespeare. You're not English. That's the reason why the likes of great writers like Barty Moe, Dr. Wilton Sankawolo, Edward Wilman Blyden, we've literally desecrated their work. in favor of wanting to be everybody else. We cannot be anybody. We need to start ingraining in our children now, from as young as they are, the task that is ahead, and letting them know how much they will need to work, and supporting them. Supporting them to the core. Do not wait for any government to support your child. Do not wait for any government to support the children in your community. If the government fails, it gives you a unique opportunity to demonstrate to people why they should not be supporting the government. Every day we get the only argument we want to have is government, government, government. My question is, I agree. I do not disagree. But who else have demonstrated anything outside of government? Opposition party, churches, mosques, religious institutions. How come we all have connived to just wait for the government? That if the government doesn't do it, then none of us will do anything. No, do what you can within your means. If you got no resources, the only thing you can do is to inspire the kids in your community to want to be like you, then do that. If you have nothing else, but the only thing you can do is to show to kids, inspire them by the stories of other Liberians, to the point where we don't even celebrate our own stories. We don't. And I like to chastise the diaspora more because we have access to resources. So the problem is not about Liberia. The problem is us. So you do not need to change anybody's mindset for reclaiming Liberia's greatest asset. You waste your time. I care less. If the Lebanese want to take all the gold, let them take it. If foreigners want to come and take all the timber and iron ore, we should give it away. I'm happy to bargain that, or I'm happy to give that away. But no, we fight for the rubber, we fight for the gold, we fight for the diamond, and then we neglect the greatest asset, which is our children. How is that not upside down? Then we keep saying we're looking for a visionary leader. We're looking for a revolutionary. Where will they come from? Mars? No, they will come from amongst our children. So the more children that we raise in corruption, the more children that we neglect, the more we allow our education system to remain rotten. I can assure you that Liberia we will continue to produce one corrupt leader to another corrupt leader, to the point where even when you look in the diaspora, we are still limited. Our children in the diaspora have no prospects of being able to contribute to Liberia in the best way possible because we've also neglected them here, even with all the resources that are available. Even with them being available. I'll see, maybe we can take some of the comments before I continue here. If we have some comments, maybe we can populate some of our comments here just to get some feedback from our people. Strong Banapigin said that's true. The children of Liberia are our greatest assets, but we have no clear and defined policy, youth empowerment, and the well-being of kids. I agree. Thank you for your contribution, sir. Owa Colley said, thank you so much, brother. Thank you, Owa, for actually watching. Mizi Wing say, I don't agree with investing in poorer and center society in order to make our children better. I agree with increasing the education budget, which will help to train more teachers and prepare them to impact our children. I agree with increasing the agriculture budget, which will help to be self-sufficient and reduce the importance of rights in other community. Mizi, I will answer your comment about the poorer and center society later on. Let me maybe go through some of the other comments before I actually come back to what I meant by that. Owakoli say, I support you, brother. Charles Brown say, how are you doing, my brother? I'm doing very well, Charles. Thanks for joining in. Gay Voa say, my brother, you are very right. Thank you, Gay. Orlando Work Kanga say, what is a percentage that qualifies the majority of Liberia populace that makes up the poorer and center society? Thank you, Orlando. So Mizi Wang say, I don't agree with investing in the poor and center societies, making our children better. Okay, so we actually read this comment already. That's great. So let me take on this issue, Mizi. Mizi, let me ask you, do you know when the poorer and center society was when it was the only way our children could understand do you know that it was the only education system at one time? It was the only education system. Okay, let me tell you today. And it remains one of the most formidable institutions in our country. It is the poor and center society that teaches our children at a young age when they go through how to become productive citizens in their community. It is the poor and center society that teaches them the responsibility of being a man, a father, a husband. It is the poor and sender society that teaches our women the opportunity of being industrial, right? Making farms, taking care of their family, taking care of themselves, taking care of their children. It is the poor and sender society that kept our society in tight. When you talk about the morals, Liberians have lost the morals of society today. These children are useless and they do this. You know where that comes from? It comes from the lack of any form of discipline in our children from the very young age. So I can tell you, the poor society is in Bon, is in Lofa, is in Magibi, is in the poor society serves a larger population than any education system in the Republic of Liberia. Even those participating in the education system, most of them still participate in the poor and sender society. Our education system does not teach you how to make farm and grow food. So how are you going to reduce the commodity or the price of rice? The poor and sender society teaches you that, right? The formal education system that we go to does not even teach you how to prepare food, how to manage food. The poor and sender society teaches you that, right? The education system, the formal education system, does not even teach you any of our Liberian languages. You know none. You don't learn any within the formal education system. The poor and sender society teaches you that. And let me put it this way again. The Liberian formal education system does not even teach you the history of who you are. You know, it doesn't even help you understand who you are as a person. It doesn't even help you understand the value of the land that you live on. It doesn't even teach you the survival skills that you need. It doesn't even teach you the sense of responsibility that you must have to participate in our society and culture. It does not teach you the cultural knowledge and wisdom of the land. The poor and sender society teaches you that. And that in and of itself, my friends, is the value of what we ought to be. The formal education system is teaching us to be everything other than ourselves. Now, you might want to make the argument about the shortcomings of the poor and sender societies. That's a fair argument, that we do have challenges there. There are things that we need to evolve and change. So if you want a conversation, let's stop coming to conferences in Washington, D.C. The people gave us a lot of money and put us in five-star hotels. And then from there, we go back to Liberia, to the villages, to tell our people the bad things about the sender and the poor society and what they actually need to change. No, let's start organizing our own conferences in Vonjama, our own conferences in Banga, our own conferences in Plibo, Maryland, bringing our elders to the table and jointly educating ourselves and letting them know, as custodians of our culture, we are having challenges and we need their leadership to help us lead in evolving our culture, making sure the things we need to reform, we reform it. The things we need to change, we need to change it. We need to give them the responsibility. You're not going to come to Washington, D.C. and have anybody do that for you. So waste your time. Waste your time. You can never be educated in a formal education system better than a white man in Liberia, because the underlying support and resources and foundations that they have for their education system, we don't have it. You know why we've been struggling for a long time to even make the education system make sense? Have you asked yourself why all of the sophisticated, educated people we got, Harvard, and you know, name them, the Madame Sirleys of the world, the H. Berman Famulas of the world, the Amos, Dr. Amos Claudius Sawyers of the world, Dr. George K. Clare and Kia of the world, name them. Name them. You can go on and on. Dr. R.G. G.V. Kroma. Name all of them. You can go on and on. Do you ask yourself why they tend to thrive when they come outside of Liberia, but they struggle when they go into Liberia? There is a disconnect, my friend, until we start to develop a system, right, that focuses on ourselves. We are in a serious problem. And everybody will make the argument that we want government to lay the foundation. I agree. We've been waiting since 1847, so we should keep waiting. I'm an entrepreneur. When people are supposed to act and they do not act, when people fail, when institutions fail, entrepreneurs, we see opportunities to find another way, right? So let's chastise the government. But where is our personal responsibility as citizens of Liberia? You want to chastise the government, you don't want us to chastise ourselves? No. Let's balance the scale. As we are chastising the government, guess what? Let's start to raise better children, more educated children, because that's the only way we have a hope of a better government. So you chastise this current government. 2023, you put another one there. Let me tell you what will happen in 2023. When the first round of the election is over and people realize who might win, all the people you call corrupt people will go to the side that the team will win, support them so that they can get back in government. And politics is bargaining. They told you, politics is interest. That's what they told you, right? So yes, let's keep praying to God that we get a good government. Where it will come from Mars? No. A good government will come from when we, all of us, collectively, start to brainstorm, start to be creative about other ways we can make an impact on our country within our means. Because you never know. The 5 children you may mentor tomorrow, one of them could become the president of the Republic of Liberia. Your children that you will raise tomorrow, they could become that as well. Let's take some more comments. Okay, Vawa say every earning should come from government. No, 70% of Nigeria are about business. I agree. Everybody expect the government to employ everybody in the Republic of Liberia. Everybody said we should build systems, we should build systems. But the systems we have in place, we've abused, right? People say the Sunday and poor society should have no. In fact, let me tell you something. The most robust of any systems ever in the history of Liberia are the traditional systems, right? 1847 king, we threw them away and brought in a whole new thing that only a few people understood. They survived it. Guess what? Oppression. And you know, by one party system for over 100 years, the traditional system survived it. Civil war, traditional system survived it. Military coups, traditional system survived it. Poverty, traditional system survived it. Corruption, traditional system survived it. So what are you talking about? Stop borrowing up, wasting your time to borrow other people's systems. Go to the system that has survived so much, that is so robust, and start to understand it and start to see how we can develop it, evolve it, and make it better. The same thing we've done to ourselves. Go to the villages. Have you asked yourself why they lay around hut are what people build in the villages, those mud huts? Why some of them have last 5, 6, 7, 8 generations and they are still standing? Rain, sunshine, wind, everything, they're still standing. What did we do? Instead of thinking about that technology and evolving it into a modern way that we built, since everybody will be able to participate, even our people up in Tira, no. We come to the West and borrow these boxes that they build the car houses. We come to the West where people have designed these buildings consistent with their culture, consistent with their climate, consistent with their ecosystem. We go to Liberia and try to replicate it, and then we call it development. That is not development, right? That is nonsense. That is stupidity. You are copying something to paste that makes no sense to you, that you do not understand. So we build in this horrible building. When you see somebody, you're wondering what were people trying to actually build. It doesn't make sense. We have traditional systems of building. We have traditional architecture of building. Just go up interior to the villages. But you know, we are so small-minded that we don't see it. Dollar Gibson says, we want the government to lay the basic foundations, Leo. We are in the 21st century and we need a basic infrastructure in place to be more effective and productive in society. Roads, electricity, water, sanitation, schools, and hospitals, and security are just tools we rely on to be more functional and productive. We are talking about these basic infrastructure when they say a lot rests on the government. We are not in the 1600s to early 1900s. Liberia or most part of Africa continues to continue there. Again, I don't disagree. Dollar Gibson, I agree with you. So my question to you is, what should we do? Should we sit down and wait? Or are you convinced that the government can do all of that with 500 million? That's my question to you. I'm saying I agree with you. And I'm saying in spite of that, we need to figure out what we can do with what we've got. So should we allow our children to turn into prostitutes? Should we allow our children to turn into corrupt people? So, Dolly, I agree with you in the situation of Liberia. What about the Liberian diaspora then? Infrastructure is not a problem here. We got roads. Electricity is not a problem. We got electricity. How come we are not seeing, a plethora of efforts geared towards empowering Liberian children, supporting Liberian children in the Liberian communities that we live? How come we haven't seen that, Dolly? If your argument is true for Liberia. Orlando said I should slow down a little bit in my presentation. Okay, Orlando, I will slow down. I get very riled and emotional about this. So my brother, thank you. I will slow down. Edwin Chia said thanks. So ladies and gentlemen, let's face the fact. Jerome Gateman said the government is the highest paying institution in the country and one of the highest in the world. Cut the pay and we will not be incentivized. I agree, Mr. Gateman. I will not debate that. In fact, I will go one step further by actually saying make government jobs the lowest paying jobs in the country. Make it the lowest paying jobs. We want to attract our best brains in innovation, in entrepreneurship, in business development, right? We don't want them, all of them, to only settle for government. So I wouldn't disagree with you on that piece, Mr. Gayman. But let's come back to this debate about investing in our children. Let's come back to this particular debate, because everybody says the Liberian government has failed to lay down the premise. Everybody says that. So what about in the diaspora then? Can we say we are doing the opposite? The number is on the screen to call. Those of you who want to call and make your point or to disagree, please, 605-313-6004. And the code is 791-403#, or the number sign. So you can call in for the last 15 minutes that we have left. Make your point. You can add to the conversation. You can disagree with me also. The reason we come here to actually do this Liberian Dream Talk is to provide thought-provoking ideas in the hopes that we can start to shift our focus to what matters the most. The election ended in 2017. Our people remain in the state of politics and election until we come into 2023. Imagine that. We never knock ourselves out of the state of electioneering to say, okay, elections are over now. Let's figure out what we got to do within our means. If you're a political party, do what you can within your means. If you are an individual, do no. We remain on fighting for who, while we are angry, the person who wanted to be president did not become president. So hit the call button. You can disagree with me, like I said. For those of you who can call, please call. We'll be happy to actually take your call and listen to you and get your point of view. But I argue that the greatest asset for nation building in Liberia remains the children of Liberia. And until we can come to the realization that that is where our focus needs to be, we will continue to produce bad presidents. We'll continue to produce incompetent presidents. We'll continue to produce corrupt ministers. We'll continue to produce corrupt public servants. We'll continue to produce corrupt pastors. We'll continue to produce corrupt bishops. We will continue to produce corrupt community chairmen and chairwomen until we can start to invest in Liberia's greater asset, which are our children. We would start to see a new breed of leaders coming through the ranks when we start to put our investment where our mouth is. It's not in gold. It's not in diamond. Stop wasting your time. Come to where it really is. It is in the future itself. And the future are our children. You want to see the example? Look at this current generation of young people. We failed to invest in them. So see where they are today, right? They are all militants of political parties. Look in the streets. The one that poverty struck to the point where they could not escape it, they are called Zogos, a derogatory term that we use in Liberia. So you think about it. I dare you me, the Zogos, you call Zogos, that population will continue to increase. That population will continue to increase as a result of the trend that we see. And you can say this is a failure of government. No, for me, this is the failure of society. It's not just the failure of government, it's the failure of parents, because you look at it, we live in the West. Most of us live in America, Canada, everywhere else. Security is not the issue according to you, right? Electricity is not a problem. Infrastructure is not a problem. Good schools are not a problem. So how come we are still failing our children in the diaspora if we think it is the government's fault? If we think it is only the government that is the problem in Liberia, then how come we haven't been able to figure out a way to support our children? And you know, you people think I make this poorer and center society argument for whatever reason. And think about it. The fact that you get uncomfortable when I mention the poorer and center society, that is in and of itself is the problem. The fact that the only one thing that we know for sure is innate to the land called Liberia. The fact that the one thing that we know for sure, and you know, is the custodian of the Liberian culture, we get uncomfortable to talk about it. That in and of itself is a problem. And that is where I want us to get to. We need to get comfortable with accepting who we are. We need to get comfortable no matter how bad it is. The first step to making it better is acknowledging it, accepting it, embracing it, and then innovating to evolve it. Right? Right? So let's face the fact. The fact that you get uncomfortable when we talk about who we really are as Liberians, that is the first problem. We need to get to the place of realization of being comfortable with people talking about who we are and then telling them about where we've come from, how we've made it different. Do we have a caller?
Yeah.
Yep, let's take the caller.
Hello, caller. Your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling from America.
Your name, sir, and go ahead. Hello, caller. Go ahead. We lost the caller.
All right, we lost the caller. We lost the caller there. So let's continue. You can call back. Those of you who want to call, the numbers are scrolling at the bottom there. You can call in. We will take your call. Again, we are happy to accept people who disagree. We want to hear your point. If you agree, we also want to hear your point. Or if you have a different opinion on the matter, we want to hear that as well. Thanks to all of you who have been commenting, to listeners and viewers who have been commenting. We appreciate your comments. Even the ones that do disagree, we appreciate it as well. But let me continue on my train of thought. The fact that we are uncomfortable with having a genuine conversation of who we are. We're always making every effort to look like something we're not. It's a problem. We cannot continue that way, right? We want to be Americans. Do we have another caller?
No, not yet.
We want to be Americans. We want to be Europeans. We want to be everything else. But we don't want to face the fact that we are Liberians, to the point where people will tell you they don't want to be affiliated with the Liberian community anymore because the Liberian community is such a mess, right? Most people tell you that in the diaspora. That in and of itself is the problem. Some of us have made a commitment. We will always be affiliated with the Liberian community. It is not a choice. We will be here. We will embrace it. We will continue to fight and work hard to make it better so that our children can get the message that they too have a responsibility to not run away from it. They have a responsibility to face it. And whatever we do to make it better, they can build on it from there. That's how societies are built. Societies are not built when everybody run away from who you are, then you're hoping that God will perform voodoo and all of a sudden an angel will fall from heaven to help solve our problems. Doesn't work that way. It does not work that way, right? Let's be entrepreneur once more. Let's just be responsible. I'm not asking you to do too much. I'm not asking you to do what you can within your means. While we chastise our government, let's start raising good children, because we may just give ourselves a chance for getting a good president because somebody did their due diligence to raise good children. We may just give ourselves an opportunity because somebody somewhere did a good job to run a good church. We may just give our nation a chance because somebody somewhere did their best to be an exemplary community chairman or an exemplary community chairlady. We may just give ourselves a chance because somebody somewhere did a great job being an exemplary businessman or an exemplary businesswoman. Right? We must understand our traditions. We can run away from it. We must embrace it. We must acknowledge it. We must figure out the things that are wrong with it, and we must make it better. So waste your time. The Poor Society and the Ascendant Society ain't going nowhere. 1847, the settlers came and met it. They did all they could do. 173 years later, it still remains one of the strongest institutions in the Republic of Liberia. There is no system that is as strong as the Poor and Ascendant Society. I challenge you to show me another system that is stronger than it. Whatever they do, they've managed to keep it together. So as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's progressive and innovative, trust me, I want to know what is it that they're doing that they've managed to do it so strong. Imagine if we can root our country's identity in something like that, that everything has been thrown at it, but it has managed to survive it. Right? You can dislike it for everything you've been told, right? You can take all of the negative things that people may have brainwashed you about the Poor and Descendant Society to the point where they make it look like there is absolutely nothing positive about it. It's a lie. It's not true. Yes, there are things that are negative about it. Name me one culture in the world that you know that there is nothing negative about. Name me one. Even Christianity that we talk about, that there is nothing negative about. Right? But progress is when you keep working to make yourself better. Progress is when you realize you have some bad hobbies. And you don't say to yourself, let me go kill myself because I got bad habits. No. You say to yourself, I need to double down. I need to change these bad habits of mine. If you're a drunkard, you want to work to make it better. If you're a smoker, you want to work to change the hobby. Right? That's what progress is. So how come that in our own country, we're saying because there are negative things about our culture that has survived anything that has been thrown at it, that has been one of the underlying reasons why Liberia is still at peace. Let me tell you today, we don't have enough police people to even police Monrovia. We don't have enough army people to guide our various border crossing points. So ask yourself, why do you think in those remote villages, where if you call for police, the police in Monrovia will have to mobilize, it will take them 3 weeks before they reach there. Why do you think the people have lived there in peace and tranquility? Why do you think the people are not there just taking knife and juking each other, everybody fighting each other? They know there is order. Why do you think so? It's as a result of our traditional systems, because there are much stronger penalties in place for people who break the customary laws. Now the thing we can do in Monrovia, the party, when they tell you to quote, you get some money, you bribe a few people, you get out. No. In the traditional areas, there is rule, there is law and order. That is the reason why people are fearful of going against it, because they know the consequences are too severe. So let's accept it. Let's be honest with ourselves. The moment you start to accept it and understand it better, who knows, the more innovation you may have. Look, we're willing for people to bring us to Washington, D.C. and in New York and the Londons of the world to set us down and school us about what we need to change about our own tradition. Imagine that. No, but we're not willing to say, this year we are going to have a National Assembly of the Chief Elders and Zones. In Vonyama, we are going to sit with all of them. And in the confidence of their leadership, as custodians of our culture, we're going to put out some tax before them as our leaders to help us bring about some reforms and innovation. And we are going to support them. The same money the Webco can give when you're kind for your stipend and all that stuff, spend the same amount of resources you need for this work to be done at a quality level. So let's be frank. Nagura Batsi said, get rid of foreign aid, then Liberia be fine. I don't disagree. Like I don't know you're a brother or a sister. I can't tell from the name. But foreign aid is one of our problems, because foreign aid is fueling the corruption that we have. But that's a topic for another day, right? Let's focus on dealing with the one we're dealing with today, which is investing in the future of Liberian children. Patum Kula says, my brother, the problem is that educated Liberians have never taken pride in our culture enough to use sociology and psychology to transform them to realities of urban society. I agree. And you would be shocked. Not even a lot we might need to even change. Our people who say they are so educated, our educated Liberians, decided to set themselves up as anti to themselves. Because if you say you are a Liberian, then trust me, the poor and sender society are part of your culture. You can say you are a Liberian, but you divorce yourself from the poor and sender society, then you don't know what you mean when you say you are a Liberian. That is just the reality. Tapiwa Musewe, my sister Tapiwa Musewe say, I believe China is an example of a nation that seems to have stuck to their traditions, cultures, and used what they had to strengthen their economy. They empower themselves in so many ways. I agree that investing in the youth human resources is very powerful tool. China seems to have done most with their own people. Be who you are and work with your people to build a society. You couldn't have said it any better. Just be who you are. Just be committed to yourself. China is a great example. And you might want to say, oh, the Chinese government, the Chinese government is deeply rooted in the cultural traditions of China. Strongly. I don't need to tell you that, those of you who've lived in China and worked there, to the point where they can come to a country like Liberia, convince us that they will help us build a ministerial complex and other buildings, and convince us that we must put Chinese writing on it so our people can start learning Chinese. But we can convince ourselves that we must put Pele writing on our buildings. We can convince ourselves that we must put Geo writing on our buildings. So let me tell you one thing as we slowly wrap up here. We need to embrace our identity, ourselves, and our culture. We need to make it so cool that the one thing our children will want to do is to be it. That's where we need to get to. Our languages, our traditional societies, our traditional systems. We need to embrace it, elevate it, and make it so cool. You know why? When you look at Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, all the other places, whole day you're admiring them. When former President Rawlings died, did you take a keen observation of those ceremonies? Did you see anything over there that looked like the Ghanaian people could not identify? It was deeply rooted in their culture and traditional celebration. That did not stop them from bringing foreign dignitaries there. They brought in all their different tribes, their different clans, their different chiefdoms. And they were accorded the same level of respect. Let me wrap up by saying this. Liberia has become a country where we use our culture for marketing, commodity, and content. When our big guests come, we show our children that our own self-esteem is when foreigners arrive. That the only time we valuable, and when we can, and that's why our children are learning. You wonder why our children today have such low self-esteem. We've neglected them. We've taught them to have low self-esteem. When the big guests then come, Secretary of State, then other heads of state, then we bring our culture outside, we display as marketing content. When the foreigners leave, then we chunk it back in the dustbin. Right? So it's time, my people. I'll argue and I will continue to make this argument. Nobody is serious when it comes to talking about nation building for Liberia unless they can help us understand how we can start to invest in the future of our children. Nobody, you're not serious. And I will tell you today, those of you who say you are Liberian, but you're not part of the poor and the Senate Society, they're not your own team. I'm sorry for you. You are miseducated. The sooner you can start understanding that the poor and Senate Society is part of your culture. If you think it is not good enough, then leadership is you knowing that you have a responsibility to work hard to make it better. But I'm sorry, it's not going anywhere. It will remain here. And in my opinion, that is where our children are supposed to be rooted in understanding who they are, because that will improve their self-confidence, their self-esteem. That would make them aspire for the best. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying get rid of the formal education system, because I know people quick to take either or. No, I'm saying invest in both. Children who have the opportunity to go to the formal education system, let's give them the best education that they can be. Children who only have the chance to go to the bush school because they can't afford to go to the formal education system, let's invest and give them the best the bush school can offer, because that will give us a balanced society. That will make sure we will raise better traditional leaders. At the same time, we will raise better political leaders on all spectrum, because our children will be growing up as model citizens. They will be growing up understanding the responsibility that is at hand, so we can make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great time here. Thank you so much for joining me on. I maintain the argument that Liberia's greatest asset are our children. So let's reclaim it. Let's reclaim Liberia's greatest asset, our children. There is no way, there is no hope for Liberia unless we can begin to understand and figure out how we can invest in the future of our children at all levels. Because I'll tell you today, the gold and the diamonds, you do what you do with it. But the one thing you cannot recover from is when you destroy a generation of children. And the more generations of children we keep destroying, the longer our misery is going to be. The more we will continue to produce bad leaders, bad pastors, bad bishops, bad individuals in our society, because we've neglected the foundation. You cannot build a house from the roof. You must build it from the foundation. And until we get the foundation right, we're going nowhere. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Leo Napolu Johnson, and I came to you live from the beautiful city of Hamilton, Ontario this afternoon on the Liberian Dream series, reclaiming Liberia's greatest asset, our future, the children of Liberia. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks right here on the Liberian Dream. Have yourself a very, very good new week. We will build Liberia together.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our